Welcome to At Home with Gizzelle. I'm Gizzelle. In order to address the technology skills gap on the market, Fortinet has made their entire catalog of network security expert training free for the remainder of 2020. You can learn about FortiGate, FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, FortiClient, FortiSIM, FortiNAC, FortiVoice, FortiCamera, FortiExtender, FortiTexter. It's really Forti exciting. With face masks becoming a staple in the new normal, Apple is working on a way to more quickly unlock your iPhone using Face ID while you're wearing a mask. In the new software release, Face ID will recognize when you're wearing a mask and more quickly pull up the password entry screen instead of continuing to search for your face. From the sounds of it, we're just kind of going back to password entry. People who straighten their hair have a reason to rejoice. After 7 years of research and testing, Dyson has released the Corral Hair Straightener, which uses a series of algorithms to ensure no damage happens to your hair strands. Engineers in the Dyson lab grew out their hair, wore wigs, and straightened their beards in order to test the plates on these devices. A sign that Dyson might need a few more women in their engineering lab. Over the past couple weeks, Equinix has been featured on Fox News, CNBC, and in a variety of other news outlets to discuss our resiliency in the current market, our stock performance, and also to answer the question, can the internet keep up with all this additional new demand? Other than solidifying how awesome Equinix really is, it was really interesting to me to find out that co-location wasn't a commonly used household word. Since 1984, the National PTA has dedicated 1 week in May as Teacher Appreciation Week. This is a week to honor those that lend their skills and passion to educating our children. This year, as school facilities are closed due to COVID-19 and children are learning from home, this week has a slightly different lens to it. I know I, for one, have a much greater appreciation of what my daughter's preschool teacher goes through on a daily basis. As today's guest, we have Mark Finstrom, CTO of Highline School District and also the president of the Association of Computer Professionals in Education. Mark, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the work you have done and continue to do in ensuring continuity of education for our children. Can you please give us a little bit of a taste of what the past couple months have looked like for you and your team?
I will say the last couple months have been very intense for us. We went from being in school and having a one-to-one environment with just a 6th through 8th grade to 5 days later deploying several thousand devices, and by about 2 weeks after that having a little over 13,000 devices out to all students in the grades PK through 12. And it has been a ride. A lot of new things that we're learning, particularly internet bandwidth and lack thereof, to application use, to parent use.
One of the topics that I know is at the forefront of your mind and all educators is reliable and accessible internet for all students. As we move to this online learning model, there are students that don't necessarily have the economic means to afford internet or coverage availability, and they're at risk of being left behind. Can you educate our viewers a bit on this topic?
We have several hundred students who are considered McKinney-Vento or homeless. And the way that we had to go about this was we had to look at all the different avenues for providing connectivity. And so we have a little over 2,500 hotspots that are out there with the students. We do have connectivity at all of our sites. So we do allow students to go within a safe distance of the building, but that does not account for the families who do not have transportation. So now you have a number of family members who are saying, hey, what about us? We can't service our kids. They can't get online. They can't meet with their teachers. And all we're doing is extending that digital divide.
What are you and people in similar roles doing to build awareness around this issue?
People don't understand that internet really should be considered a utility. We provide, people electricity, water, cable TV, in their rental units? Why are we not providing internet access in that same vein? And why is the E-rate program not providing service for these students, especially when you consider the free and public education requirement that comes through from the U.S. Department of Education? So last night I actually sent off a couple messages to the U.S. Department of Education, to Secretary DeVos, saying, listen, you talked about FAPE and you talked about our ability to meet student needs. You really need to address this, and you need to make sure that we're not leaving students behind, because all we're doing is broadening the gap and marginalizing students more because we cannot provide the service. We will continue to do what we can as Highline Public Schools. We will buy hotspots, but they are not cheap, and they end up costing us a lot in the long term. But hopefully that long-term cost is mitigated by the students being equal in what they can do with their peers.
As a parent, I am so glad to have you fighting this battle on behalf of all children. But what can we as industry professionals and citizens do to help in your efforts?
I would say one of the best things that you can do, any other person can do, is to be that advocate. Advocacy goes a long ways. In fact, just sharing with your local legislators, your city council, jurisdictions, you can bring awareness to the subject. There are lots of options. We just need advocacy from you and others to help the FCC and legislators understand that there is a definite need, and we can meet that need if we work together.
Mark, thank you so much for your time today and for your amazing insights. That's it for today's At Home with Gizzelle. Click the thumbs up below, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.